creepy child's laugh in the distance were a brilliant way to start this episode of Murder in the Middle. Basically, in this series, each episode, we watch an episode of Malcolm in the Middle in order. We're going from beginning to end and analyse it to see if it's possible that Malcolm was murdered at some point in the series, and him talking to us is him trying to tell us that he was killed by his own family. We're on episode 4. We start with a funeral, an analogy for his own perhaps. Dewey salutes. Sorry, that's a British one. He's American. Hal lights the fire. Now, fire is very significant in Murder in the Middle, because each time fire is showed, it's used in quite an evil way. For example, in episode 1, Francis was shown to have got into a fiery car accident that could have killed Malcolm. In episode 2, Lois was preparing for her anniversary when a red dress was shown to be burnt and destroyed. Could have been part of the same instance. In episode 3, Reese, Malcolm's other brother, was described as being the matches to Lois's dynamite. And now we see Hal lighting a fire. After all this happens, Malcolm is the only one to not say amen. Perhaps because the dead can't pray. We're on for another episode of Murder in the Middle. So we cut to Malcolm playing ball with his friend. He's bullied by a kid called Kevin. We see Francis at military camp. He's taught by Nick Fury, basically, who is teaching the crew to hate women. What kind of class is this? Is this like neckbeard class? I really need to shave before I have to join that class. I don't think I have the sentiments to pass though, because I don't hate women. Shocker. Now, let's see how his hatred for women can connect to him killing Malcolm. I'm sure there's a connection we can find somewhere. Dewey is in pain. Hal and Lois are very attentive to him. Maybe it's because they've already lost one son, so they're being very protective of another. So because of Kevin, Malcolm gets no pizza for lunch and instead gets goulash, basically bile, on a plate. Kevin gets up close and personal, causing Malcolm to be covered in tomato sauce in pizza. He fights Kevin. Both are covered in red, the colour of blood. We're back to the colour of blood theory. Malcolm shouts at his folks, asking, "Why aren't you yelling at me for beating up Kevin?" He's a glutton for punishment, because he's been punished his whole life. Malcolm sees all of his family acting and sounding like animals, showing off their true animalistic behaviour that only the teacher can see. See the last episode for that reference. Malcolm goes to church and asks for advice. Then he goes to the church of another religion and another. He searches for faith everywhere he can look. He needs help with being what he says is evil. To me, this screams abuse. He's been programmed to believe that he's evil when in actuality he just defended himself in a situation where he was being bullied. Hal has cut down a tree during the B-plot and is destroying it in a wood chipper. That's it, new theory. Malcolm's body is disposed of in the wood chipper. Keep an eye out. I don't care how much they try and convince me that they are destroying watermelons. That's Malcolm coming out of that wood chipper. Malcolm is the only kid not present when the wood chipper spits out red. Interesting, keep it in mind. Malcolm competes in a race. He wears red, of course, red blood. We've played this game before. He falls over and knocks his head. He dies. Maybe. I don't know, I think that's a pretty lackluster way for him to die after all this conspiracy stuff. We cut to Lois looking after Malcolm, who says, "I feel like I have a monster inside of me." This kid is traumatized. He's seen something. Is it something worth murdering him over? Beautiful pipe, innit? That's what she said. His mum Lois tells him that it's called a conscience, that demon inside of him. Lois is a really good mum. Sorry, no, getting distracted from the character. Lois is a murderer. Now, when I started watching the show, my mate Rich said that I missed a huge part of it by not watching it when I was younger, because when you're younger, you hate the mum character, but you grow older and realise that she's actually a pretty good mum. And I thought that it's a really interesting way of looking at it. The way we're seeing her now is how she's actually betrayed. When you're a kid and you're watching it, you just see her as the one stopping all the fun. Anyway, that's all for today. Like and subscribe and stuff for the next episode of Murder in the Middle.
Barometer of all that's good. spicy like you.